Hey everyone, it's Dominique, and I realized in my last video I mentioned how I've been taking a step back and just kind of prioritizing myself because I recognized that there was a decline in my mental health. And I want to talk about that because when you say decline in mental health, it sounds really scary and people get really nervous. And and I think it's important that we talk about what it looks like when we see a person's mental health decline or how to even notice the signs. And I talked about, since I had gone to therapy, that I had a toolkit now that made me able to handle and to figure out what's going on, versus at first when I would notice, well, I wouldn't even really notice when my mental health was declining until it was already at a point where it wasn't great and I needed help. So now I have a toolkit that I can refer to that allows me to check in with myself a little bit more and say, what's happening here? There's certain things I'm seeing in myself that I don't like. And so I'm going to share with you what some of those things are. And I'm also going to share with you how you can recognize what's going on with you. So every human being has like a homeostasis, which is like your state of equilibrium. And everybody's state of equilibrium looks different, right? So like for some people that means that they're really calm, some people are extremely energetic, some people are neutral and they may go in between calm and energetic throughout their day. Some people may have a lot of patience. That's like their equilibrium. They're like, okay, that's when you know they're in a good place. But when our mental health is starting to decline, we start to notice changes in our behavior that's unlike our normal behavior when we're in a good place. Society, mainly through social media and television, has really, really, really messed it up for a lot of people because the way they talk about mental health is that, everyone thinks about yoga and everyone thinks about, I'm just like in this very calm state of mind where nothing bothers me. And it's almost this just, it's this state of high that just is unrealistic. And there's no such thing as a complete state of peace where you're so unbothered by every single thing. Like, to be unbothered is a conscious choice, it's not a state of being. So I want people to understand that when it comes to your mental health, stop focusing on being positive and stop focusing on finding your inner peace, and focus more so on finding what your equilibrium looks like. Like for myself, I notice when I'm in a good state because I have a calm energy. Like, it's not that you see me with like super excitement, but it's kind of like I can just keep going all day. Like no matter what is thrown at me, I'm in a good place. I'm like, yeah, I can handle that. I can do that. I can do that. That's great. No problem. But when I notice that my mental health is declining, the first thing that I will see that I will struggle with is my sleep pattern. I'll stop sleeping more and I'll be really tired. It's not normal for me to be tired throughout the entire day. I'll also notice my eating habits will change. So I will stop craving healthier foods and start craving more of the fattening foods. I would eat once a day versus eating normally my natural pattern is, and actually it's healthier for me when I eat like 3 times a day. When I'm not in a good place, I'll start eating once a day, but eating like big meals late at night versus eating throughout the day because I'll forget to eat throughout the day and just eat at night. I'll stay in bed all day. So pretty much it's like after work, I'll close my laptop and then lay down and be like, well, and then I'll get up, probably take a shower, watch a show, and then I want to go to sleep. Like, it doesn't matter how much sleep I get, I'm never done sleeping. I'm always tired. So I notice for me, those are the first signs that something's going on with my mental health. And even though I'm not eating a ton of food, for me, the way my body works is even I could eat good calories and I can eat bad calories and I'm gonna gain in the same amount, but my body gains weight from just eating bad foods because I get bloated. My digestive pattern changes. So because I'm not, my body's not properly working, I'm holding on to food. Also, I get stress weight. So all of these things are contributing to what's happening with my body. So I'll notice that I'll gain weight and I'll recognize this because I'm stressed. My nails will not grow. My nails naturally will grow really fast. They're not growing. So my skin will start breaking out a little bit. So that's a key indication to me. Okay, so that's the very first beginning stages that something is a little off. And it could be that I'm overwhelmed. It could be emotionally that I'm drained or I'm not in a necessarily a good place. And so I recognize some things about myself. And especially going through therapy, I've I've learned to recognize them a lot sooner than in the past. I would kind of get to this really bad point and then I would be able to recall like, oh, what's happened over the past year before you got there. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I'm able to learn the signs of when my mental health is declining. And so for me, I can stop it in the beginning because I'll recognize, okay, what's happening. Like in my last video, I recognized, okay, my relationships and how I'm approaching relationships is draining me right now because I'm in a place where I feel like I need to prove myself. Why am I feeling that way? And let me take a step back so that I can focus on me. And wherever people feel about it, whatever they feel about it, that's how they feel about it. But I recognize the impact it's having on me. In addition to that, working a lot. So I plan to take some time off soon just to be with myself, just to enjoy my own presence, just to spoil myself. Just things like that that allow me to feel more comfortable with who I am. I plan to work more on my channel because those things help to benefit my mental health as well. Like me working on this channel, honestly, creating videos releases stress for me. Like I feel so rejuvenated and so renewed after I create content on TGW. So all of those kind of things help, right? But how did I notice that? Because I recognize the signs. You have to study what your equilibrium is. That looks different for everybody. My equilibrium and your equilibrium are not going to be the same thing. You have to recognize, when I feel like I'm in a good place, when I feel like I'm able to handle things, what am I feeling? What's happening in my life? What changes on the outside affect what's happening on my inside? Because most of the time, when we start having things that's happening on the inside of us, external factors influence that. And a lot of people who struggle with anxiety and depression think it's just in a vacuum. They think, oh, well, I just woke up today and I was just feeling this way. They never, ever, ever connect the dots that like these particular set of events bring on these feelings or cause these triggers that make me feel this way. So you have to understand your equilibrium so you can understand when you're not. A big one for me was I weighed myself and I saw that I had gained from the beginning of this year to now 12 pounds, which for a lot of people, they'd be like, okay, that's not much, which I know literally I could lose that so fast because, you know, without even really incorporating exercise, if I just go back to eating the way I normally eat, my body, I could lose the 12 pounds with no problem. But that was a sign for me because my weight gain comes quickly. I'm one of those people that I gain weight fast. It goes from 12 pounds and then it'll be 30 pounds by the end of the year. And then I'm like, whoa, what happened? Like, wait, what's going on here? So I have to catch that kind of stuff early. So weighing myself is a way that I can keep of my mental health because I have to be really honest here. Weight for me, my weight and my mental health I know what my healthy weight is. Weight and mental health for me are directly correlated. My weight goes up when I'm not in a good place and my weight goes down when I'm in a good place. So those are the kind of things that help me to keep track of myself because if I'm gaining extra pounds and then I usually, okay, I haven't met a time in my life yet where this hasn't been true. If I'm gaining extra pounds, usually I also will notice I'm a lot more stressed out. I don't have a lot of energy right now. I don't have energy to do anything else outside of work right now. I'm working a lot more than I normally am. So all of these things just kind of like play into to let me know what's happening. I know my equilibrium. I know when I'm in a good place. Even if I don't like something, I can deal with it. Even if I'm like, I don't want to go to work today, but I'm cool. Like I can get through work. The day went by totally fine. It was normal. Time doesn't feel like it's just, going 3 miles per hour. I feel like I'm at a good pace. I feel like I'm rolling throughout my day. I'm enjoying it even at some moments. Things like that. You have to figure out what your equilibrium is so that you can know when you're off. How do you discover your equilibrium? I advocate this to everybody and anyone who knows me. They all start journaling. If they get advice from me, they're going to start journaling because I tell everybody to journal. Now, I'm really bad at keeping a journal myself, but I would say I do journal every once in a while. And that really helps me to center myself. What I mean by center myself is that it kind of grounds me in reality because my mind might be thinking. That's another thing that I'll notice when my mental health is not in a so great place. I think a lot, but I'm ruminating. Like my thought processes are very circular and they don't really provide any sense of substance. They don't really provide any peace. They don't provide any resolution. I'm just like in a constant thought process and it's exhausting to me. And so journaling helps me to get it out so that's kind of like a final release. It's like I'm releasing those feelings and I'm like, oh, okay, so this is what's happening. It wasn't until I actually journaled, but I journaled in video format. So I was just talking to myself and I just allowed myself to just talk and just be free and open. And I listened to the playback that I said, my mental health is not necessarily in the best place. And I think I've been allowing certain factors to go on too long that have been negatively affecting me. And I know that I would be in a great place in the next month or two, but I really have to start incorporating self-care back in there. I really have to go to a place where being comfortable being a little bit selfish, because my default, like I said, my default is codependency in my last video. It means my default is when I start to overcompensate. So if I'm feeling, so for example, if I'm starting not to feel the best for whatever reason, or I feel empty for whatever reason, because maybe I'm like, not doing things that make me feel fulfilled or purposeful, or I don't have any self-care, my first default, instead of saying, oh, I feel a little drained right now, let me take care of myself, I'm like, I just need to do more for other people, because if I do more for other people, it'll fill me up on the inside. And then I start trying to do stuff for other people, and then I realize when my efforts are failing or they're not being appreciated, then now I need to withdraw and pull back. And so I have to put myself in a position to say, okay, no, that's the wrong thing. I have to literally talk to myself and coach myself. And when I talk to myself, when I record these videos, when I journal, and then I recognize, okay, Dom, like, do things for people when you're pouring from a full place, not when you're pouring from an empty place, because loving other people is not going to take the place of you not being able to show love and care for yourself. So find your equilibrium, journal every single day until you figure it out. Write down what you're feeling, how your day started, the emotions you went through throughout the day. You will notice a pattern, okay? You will notice a pattern. You will notice, I notice when certain things happen, that's when I emotionally start to feel this way. Or I notice that every time this happens the night before, I wake up feeling this way. Or I notice whenever I watch this show, I don't feel good. I notice, you'll start to notice stuff. And those things that you notice, you can make changes. One of the biggest defenses in mental health, and that a lot of people, I also said this in my last video, codependency, we're not the victim, is because a lot of people fail to recognize that you should change the things around you that you can change. So one of the main things, going all the way back, that really, I'll make a video on boundaries to talk about this, but a while back I used to, why God are things this way? And I don't understand. And I would just be like so hurt about stuff. And I remember God was like, he told me, and my counselor, my marriage counselor kind of said the same thing as well, but it finally clicked to me, and God was like, you're choosing this pain. You're choosing to be hurt, because ultimately I was choosing to be in a circumstance and then praying to God to change something that he clearly told me wasn't going to work out. And so that's kind of how you have to be about your own life. You have to think, if, just an example, for some people, living at home may be negative for their mental health. If you know that living at home is torturous for you, how long are you going to sit there as an able adult and complain about the fact that home is miserable and let it affect your mental health? Or are you going to start putting a plan together so you can get out the house and move away? How long are you going to stay at that job that you say is declining your mental health, but you're not taking the effort, or at least 30 minutes a day or 40 minutes a day, to pursue another job? You don't have a LinkedIn profile. You're not making steps to change the things you can change. Some things you cannot change. And in those moments, you have to recognize that everything is temporary. Nothing is going to last forever. But you also, the things you can change, really seek to change that. And journaling will help you do that. If you recognize there's something that's affecting you, TVs, programs, music, how you're spending your time, your schedule, your job, school, if you're realizing those things are not benefiting you, you can make changes for those things. Those are things you can say, okay, well, I'm going to make a change here because this is obviously not serving me the way I need it to serve me. So hopefully this video was helpful to you in providing some information. If I had to narrow it down to the top 3 things, I would have to say, 1, recognize that your mental health is not about being in this peaceful state of mind where nothing bothers you. That's unrealistic. I would say number 2, you need to find out what your state of equilibrium is so that you can know when things are off. Because usually when things start to fall off and you notice these changes, that's a clear sign that you're headed towards your mental health rapidly declining. Now, there's levels to your mental health declining. So that could be, your mental health declining could be, I'm noticing I'm getting more impatient. I'm noticing I'm getting tired. I notice that I'm starting to seek validation from other people. Those are warning signs so that you can correct those things or figure out what's going on, make changes so that you can get back to your equilibrium. So you have to figure out what equilibrium is so you can know when you're off. Are you, for the past 3 months, have you been eating only junk food, but normally you love fruits and vegetables? Figure out why. Don't just keep doing it until you gain 300 pounds and then you're like, well, why am I 300 pounds heavier? Well, you knew, when you gained 20 pounds that something was off. So you got to start thinking about what's your equilibrium, and you have to be vigilant about protecting your equilibrium. The third and final thing I want to say is start to journal. Journaling, I consider my journaling to be conversations that I have with God. And if you are codependent by nature, or maybe there's some codependent behaviors of yours, which means that you tend to put your validation, your purpose, or on other people. So you need people to validate you at times, or maybe you are self-sacrificial for love, or you want people to love you, so you do good things for them, or you're or maybe you have a victim mentality. Those can be sometimes manifestations of somebody being codependent in some ways. Then you have to journal so you can become aware of yourself, aware of your environment. And if I had to give a fourth and final thing, I mean, there was only supposed to be 3, but after you journal, you notice patterns. Work to actively change the things in your life that are not working for you. If you recognize every single time I have this argument or I talk to this friend, this makes me feel a certain way, you have the ability to change your friendships, change your environment, change your schedule on a daily basis. Just like I'm doing. I recognize I'm overworking myself right now. I'm not spending enough time pouring into me. So I'm changing that. And the minute I talk about it, the minute I make these changes, I already feel better. I'm already noticing, okay, I'm getting back to equilibrium. Like today, normally there's a meal that I got. It's so funny. My appetite will literally change when I notice I'm healthier. Today, I could not even eat nearly as much food as I ate earlier this week. And it was just because of me starting to prioritize my mental health. And I realized, I was like, oh, I can't eat all this in one meal, even though I haven't eaten all day. I need to do better and eat more throughout the day, so I'm not like starving by 8 p.m. and then I need to eat a bunch of food at 8 p.m. Like already my brain was signaling like this eating thing that's not normal behavior. So it is because I've already started the pouring into myself process. I wanted to get up early and I was like, I just kind of want to dance to some music, or I was in my car just like singing along. And that was an indication to me that I had done some work, because for a while I just like, I don't want to do anything. I don't really feel like it. Even today, there's a lot that I could say. Today was a good day, but I just want you to know that there's hope. That nothing is forever. We have to stop making things final that are not final. You can make changes, you can change your circumstances, and everyone's mental health gets out of equilibrium sometimes. Everyone's mental health. When a mom is getting really impatient with her child for something seemingly so small or petty, her mental health. When a father goes home and he locks himself in a room, for 2 hours a day for periods of time because work is stressful and he doesn't want to do anything, mental health. When we see a teenager who doesn't want to talk about school, doesn't want to talk about anything, and just locks themselves in their room all day, mental health. When we see that boss who is nitpicking every single thing and they're stressing about everything and they're impatient with everyone there, mental health. It is very normal for people's mental health to get out of equilibrium. But we got to pay attention to the signs so we can make adjustments so that we can get back to ourselves. So thank you so much for watching this video. Hopefully this was helpful in some way. If you want me to expand on this topic, please let me know. I love you guys. Have a great night. I will talk to you soon.